dreaming through your mind, won't you come in close? Melting through the apple pie, picturing the worst. Yet still though, you keep dreaming, 'cause soon rose, it's our evening, close. So won't you come in close? Closer, close, close, closer. Closer, close, closer. Won't you come in close, closer, closer? Seeing our beating souls over and over. We're like a molten flow. Ooh. So won't you come in close, closer?
I'll lower the volume so we can have a proper chat, Matthew. How the devil are you now around the chat box?
How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Been a funny old week, but
yeah, another one.
Made it almost. Well, I say made it. It's hump day.
I was going to say, yeah, we're only at the middle of it. It feels like this week's about 15 days long.
Yes. But no, it's been all right. You know, more positive than last week, I guess. It's with last week being an absolute shit show. But
I was going to say, yeah, it's not really a competition, is it?
No.
But yeah. So here we are, episode 1, formally, of Purple City's Burning Chat.
Yeah,
we chat about the burning issues of whatever strange time-space continuum you and I exist in. And on that note, you've got lost on the time-space continuum, it would appear.
That old chestnut. I feel like as young men, we don't really voice our concerns, things that are pressing on our minds as much as we should.
Yeah, I think if there's something we struggle with, it's being vocal. We probably should talk more about stuff that bothers us. So what's obviously last week we did one for Threads Radio. It was kind of a pilot, but the format worked. Discussing the burning topics, playing tunes that it kind of leads us into via either literal or tenuous links. So yeah, what's been on your mind this week, Ashley? What are you burning to chat about?
Before I get into that, let's shout out Pote on the last track, Close.
How rude of
Absolutely.
me. Shout out Pote. Hope you're well, mate. That's Pote's new one, Close, out on his label Versicolor. Get it out on your Spotify playlist. It's an absolute jam. The other tracks, a 2-track EP, is lovely as well. I actually think it's one of his best ones. I think it's one of his best bits thus far.
Absolutely delightful stuff. Anyway, Burning Gas. We're not calling it Burning Gas. No, we're sticking with Burning Chat.
Burning Gash. I mean, we can call it that if you want. It's only episode 1. I don't know. That might not make it through the Apple content filters.
It probably won't. Maybe it would. I don't know anymore.
I'm not sure.
All right, let's. Well, should we kick off with something that we didn't quite cover last week, which was on my list of things, and it's been itching me all week, I guess. It is James Bond, the character, not the actor who's playing him. Though, despite that whenever there's a new
always factors in.
Yeah, whenever the actor changes, the character changes as well. I think.
Yeah.
I think.
Not much though, which I think is fundamentally one of the problems with the character. He's still the same vile man he was in the 60s. He's still the same racist bingo granddad he was in the 60s.
He's still the leather-skinned Lothario that he always was.
God, I mean, so yeah, on a nuts and bolts level, do you like the Bond films?
No. I say that with a heavy heart because, like, GoldenEye is possibly the greatest film. It's like, well, not the greatest film, but one of the greatest espionage films of all time.
I think it's a mid-90s belter.
Yeah, it was definitely of its time. Well, it wasn't even of its time. It's still relevant today, but at its time, it was like so important, and it was the point where like they were throwing money at they decided to throw money at the Bond franchise.
Well, that was the big comeback, wasn't it?
Yeah,
because they got into all the fucking estate disputes, which put Timothy Dalton on ice for like nearly 10 years. And then by the time they'd actually settled all the disputes with Eon Pictures, Dalton was basically too old for it. But that meant, because Brosnan actually got cast as Bond when Dalton started in Living Daylights. But he couldn't do it. He was selected and cast, but then they decided last minute that they wanted to make another series of Remington Steele. So to
be fair, Remington Steele is phenomenal.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm all
it's a
right.
good show. Didn't you download every single episode of Remington Steele, and we were meant to watch it in one go?
I have no memory of that. How pissed were we? When did we do that?
I feel like you have a hard drive somewhere with every single episode of Remington Steele on it.
I mean, yeah, look, I mean, I hope I do. I'm going to be disappointed now if I don't, but I genuinely don't remember that. Was that a very pissed Sunday?
Yeah, I'm almost certain.
Sunday in Hackney.
Oh, yeah. I'm almost certain you actually did it, though.
Were we potentially sat under a curtain?
Well, when were we not?
Yeah, all right. I probably have then, yeah. In fact, I'll check the hard drives after this from that era and see what I can find.
Check the hard drives.
I really don't remember doing that.
Sound like Epstein.
Yeah. I was in a Pizza Express, mate.
I checked the hard drives. I don't remember doing that.
What's this? You've got a hard drive with a 2-for-1 Pizza Express voucher and all 4 series of Remington Steele on it, sir. But no, I don't think I do like the Bond films. There's a couple that are good. Like, I like watching them to laugh at them. But I can't believe anyone takes it serious. Like, then the thing is, a lot of them aren't even that well made. Like, as films, a lot of them are sort of a bit shit. But they're trying not to be, which...
Definitely the earlier one, and definitely the ones with more, and it's like...
See, I think they're the best. I think they're the best ones. In terms of, like, if I had to sit and watch one, the more ones, some of them are unwatchably bad. Octopussy is actual shite.
Oh yeah. I mean, the fact it's called Octopussy for a start is just dummy itself. But
there's also a bit in Octopussy where he gives someone some money and goes, he gives an Indian guy on the street some money and goes, that should keep you in curry for a few years.
God,
which is no. That's a no. It's a no from me.
Seems like the sort of thing that would actually be in a James Bond book. As we spoke before, the books are absolutely abhorrent.
Yeah,
but
I've only read one, but the books are much worse. He's a nastier, drunker, more racist man.
I mean, it's not as jovial as that'll keep you in curry for a long time.
That's what I mean. I think it works. I think that's why the Moore ones work a bit better because, you know, there's more in a fucking safari suit evidently taking the piss. And it's less like the new ones with Daniel Craig. They're like, oh, you're meant to really feel sorry for this aging, you know, spy who's sort of slightly out of time. But then it's like, but he's still just a horrible person. Like, I don't have sympathy for this cold, callous man who's like basically running around the world executing people at the behest of the UK government. Like, I just don't feel sorry for that man. But, you know, Roger Moore, in A View to a Kill, when he's 70-something, he's literally too old to fight. He's mid-70s and he creeps into a woman's house while she's out, which is a massive breach of privacy and home invasion. And she just gets in the house and he just spins around wearing an apron and goes, I've made a quiche. And it's like, oh, he's just a sweet old man who's got lost from his care home, bless him. Like, we can't have a go at him for trying to shag a 32-year-old and make her a quiche, can we?
It's like you kind of think, like, where did the Austin Powers franchise get their ideas? It's like it was already written for you.
Yeah, it was probably just a Roger Moore script that didn't get shot, and Mike Myers was like, well, I'll have that. It's all right. Like,
yeah.
But no, I think Brosnan is his films have aged the worst other than Goldeneye. That CGI laden one, Die Another Day, is absolutely the pits.
Yeah.
But that's so pits I can watch it. That's absolute toilet. And obviously Brosnan just looks like he's having the time of his life throughout.
How bad is Madonna in it, though?
Yeah, oh yeah, she's dreadful. I mean, there's a lot of dreadful calls in that film, but she is by far the worst one. There were people moaning about Halle Berry. It's like, no,
she wasn't
Madonna's
bad in Evita.
Say again?
Madonna wasn't bad in Evita. Was she in Evita? She was in Evita. Or did she
She's
just do the song
good in Evita.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like, what went so wrong?
I don't know, yeah. Between that, what's that weird one with her and Willem Dafoe where they have sex and pour candle wax on each other?
Guy Ritchie's Life?
Quite possibly. That's Guy Ritchie's hard drive. He's just got that video and all 4 series of Remington Steele.
Brilliant.
But yeah, I mean, GoldenEye is a genuinely good film, and I actually think the Casino Royale with Daniel Craig I did quite like. But mainly because I think they sort of stripped him of a lot of the things that make him Bond. Like, they took out all the bullshit nonsense gadgets, and Craig obviously was playing... I mean, I think Craig's kind of playing a sort of an advanced version of Timothy Dalton. Like, Dalton had that same kind of brusque, hard manner and didn't really do all the quipping. But
yeah, I think that's what's missing in the Craig ones are the quips. They're just not there.
Oh, and Craig, like, what I find fascinating is Daniel Craig has looked evidently bored since the second one he was in. Like, he looks like he's not really asked about doing. Like, I know apparently he really doesn't like doing them anymore, and he's like, but he literally looks that way now. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think the new ones work so well. Like, a lot of the new ones are like, feel sorry for this sexist pig who's having a midlife crisis, and it's like, well, he should be. He's guilty of sin. He should be having a midlife crisis.
Who's going to be the next?
Sorry for him. I also don't want to watch it for 2.5 hours.
He's going to be the next Bond.
I think they should just shit can it. He should just die in this one.
I think they should too, but they won't.
It's called No Time to Die. It'd be really funny if the send-off of that name was he actually did die in it, and that was the end of it. Like, I think that'd be a great way to just be like, fuck off, Bond fans, you're sad.
Yeah. You've had your day in the sun.
Yeah, like, I think the only people left that genuinely like it are those people that think it's cool to wear 007 aftershave.
Annoyingly, they're in the majority.
I mean, true, yeah. But yeah, no, I fuck Bond. Really,
Right.
they're funny. They're funny to watch when you're pissed on a Sunday and there's one on ITV3. You can sit and watch 20 minutes and laugh at it. But I would never, if they disappeared, I would never miss them or need to seek them out. I don't feel
morally obligated to worry about that anymore. I think you've relieved me of that that week of stress that I had.
I'm glad. I guess what friends are for, Ashley. I'm glad I can be of service.
Thank you very much.
Now all I need to do is find that hard drive full of Remington steel that I've drunkenly put somewhere.
Right, well, we're getting into this one, and catch you on the other side.
Meeting you with a view to a kill, face to face in secret places, feel the chill. Nightfall covers me, but you know the plans I'm making still oversee. Could it be the whole of opening wide? A sacred why, a mystery gaping inside. The weekends why, until we dance into the fire. That fatal kiss is all we need. Dance into the fire, to fatal sounds of broken dreams. Dance into the fire. That fatal kiss is all we need. Dance into the fire. Choice for you is the view to a kill. Between the shades, assassination, standing still. First crystal tears fall as snowflakes on your body. First time in years to drench your skin with lover's rosy stain. A chance to find the phoenix for the flame. A chance to die, but can we dance into the fire? That fatal kiss is all we need. Dance into the fire, to fatal sounds of broken dreams. Dance into the fire. That fatal kiss is all we need. Dance into the fire.
On the topic of Bond themes, just to remind ourselves of how great stroke terrible they can be, I do have this one, just as a reminder of how the hell did that happen. Put it on now.
Oh no, you're gonna play that fucking Madonna tune, aren't you?
I can only apologise.
I'm gonna wake up, yes and no. I'm gonna kiss some part of. I'm gonna keep this secret. I'm gonna close my body now. Kiss, die, another day. Kiss, die, another day. Kiss, die, another day. Kiss, die, another. I guess I'll die another day. Another day. Guess I'll die another day.
let's do it. Let's do a slow fade, and by that I mean just.
That was nicely done. That's top level production there, mate. So I actually think, interestingly, I'm glad you brought up Die Another Day there. I think that might be the worst waste of a good idea. So at the beginning of that, where he gets captured in Korea and tortured in that prison, I think the whole film should have been set, because you see him, they're like putting scorpion venom in him and stuff and torturing him, and he gets his big beard.
Yeah.
I think that the whole maybe first 45 minutes should have been set with him in prison, in hallucinations, evading capture and stuff, only to find out he's still in there, then actually have to break out. I'd actually watch that film.
I thought that too. I thought it was such a good idea to sort of have him go through this kind of methodical, like, you know, how do I get out of this? Genuine, how do I get out of this stuff that spies probably actually have to face in their life when they do get captured. And it's like, oh, well, you know, it's just teeing ourselves up for the intro, which is Madonna's.
It literally lasts till the pre-credit sequence.
It's like it just leaves us begging for it to finish.
Yeah, it just is, and it's interesting to see, like, the one thing that the Daniel Craig ones have done that's interesting is he's a bit too old to be Bond, and as a result, I mean, obviously he always still wins, but it's nice that he's not totally infallible in them and gets beat up a bit and he's a bit rusty. And it's like that one was like the first time they tried that, and then it just obviously goes into some shitty invisible cars on ice Madonna sword fighting. It's just a right fucking waste of time.
I think you're worrying too much, mate.
I mean, yeah, to be honest, this, you know, whatever. Although I did also, just to link back to Duran Duran's A View to a Kill there, I remembered whilst fixing my gin that at the start of A View to a Kill, Roger Moore scoops up a bad guy who's in a wheelchair on the prongs, the landing feet of a helicopter, and drops him down a chimney. Which is like, the film literally opens with Roger Moore dropping a disabled man down a working chimney.
God, what a hero.
On many levels, fucking brilliant. Oh, I see Dave's fucked off.
Who?
Oh, D-Gwetz.
Oh yeah, no, I've had enough of him for one week. After his did you hear the song he dedicated to George Floyd?
Oh God, it was not good. And then as he played it, he just leant into the mic and was like, "Shouts to his family." It's like, thanks for that, David. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Dave.
Appreciate your support.
We've heard enough of my burning chat. What's got your goose this week?
This week, I've been much like yourself. You've been concerned
on your birthday week, on the week that we celebrate the birth of the young Bayfield.
Yeah, I had my birthday. It was all right. Lockdown birthday. Went down the beach, had fish and chips. Got pissed in the middle of the day. It was just a normal day in Lowestoft.
Sounds like a Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah. It was Monday, so you know. I just executed it a day early. That was the birthday treat. I started getting drunk on Monday instead of Tuesday. But no, this week I was. We actually touched on it in the show last week. Rob Percy, a particularly brilliant hip hop connoisseur, put up a list of albums that turned 16 this year, and one of them was the Carter 1 by Lil Wayne. So I was listening to Lil Wayne, I was listening to Carter 1, and then I just started pondering, this week I've been thinking, is Lil Wayne as good as everyone says? Or is he, I mean, because it's, I like him, but the greatest rapper alive is obviously his claim, and a lot of people call him the GOAT, and he's started a podcast called, I think it's like the Young Money Podcast or Cash Money Radio. And he's chatting to Eminem, Dr. Dre, Ludacris, and they're all just kind of, they're like 15-minute interviews where they blow smoke up each other's asses, basically. They're not particularly insightful. But obviously everyone's like, yeah, you're the GOAT, like you're next level, your lyrics are just like all the time. And then I was like, I've been listening to tracks like Hose off Carter 1, which is god-awful. And I was like, is Lil Wayne as good as I seem to remember him being, and as much as people say he is? And that's what I've been thinking about, Ashley.
And what conclusion have you sort of come to? Because I mean, I know where I stand on it. I think a lot of the stuff that he does is a bag of shit. But with that said, there are always a bunch of bangers within there, which is it kind of annoys me.
Yeah, well, it's the same. Like there's points where I listen to him and I'm like, the man is a genius, and then I listen to something else and I'm like, the man is a moron. Like, I mean, obviously, you know, he's had massive problems with codeine addictions and every other addiction, so maybe that was affecting his quality control. But it's just, I don't know, because he puts out so much that I'm like, well, if you put out that many things, like, you maybe should actually have a higher hit rate than you've got.
I mean, at his highest, and by highest I mean highest on Lean and also in the charts, was when he had Lollipop featuring Static.
Feet Static Major.
And we can all agree that was Toilet. But
it's shit. But that's
then,
like, on that, his lyric is like, I'm so hot that I let her lick the rapper. And it's like, who licks the rapper on a sweet? What are you on about? Like, that's the least rewarding part of a lollipop. Have you never had one before, mate?
But no, I mean, was that this is the quandary? Was that not the same year that he did A Milli?
Yeah, it's the same album.
It's like
Lollipop was the chart single, and A Milli was like the street single.
Yeah, like you have your radio song and you have your street banger, but how can they be so far apart?
I know. I mean, I think Carter 3 for me it sums him up the most, because it's got like Let the Beat Build, which is one of his best flows. Amazing beat by Kanye West. It's like just absolutely brilliant. Then it's got A Milli, which is fucking ridiculously good. Then it's got Lollipop and Mrs. Officer, which I listen to, and again, maybe I'm a little bit more sensitive right now because of everything that's happening, like all the George Floyd protests. But Mrs. Officer has the line, Rodney King, she let me beat it like a cop. Which is just, I don't even think it was appropriate then, but in the current climate, it just sounds awful. And then I remembered there's a track which is it's on YouTube, but it's conveniently disappeared from like every other place. I can't remember if it must have come out on one of his landfill mixtapes, but it's with them Franchise Boys, and the chorus is, I wake up in the morning, take a shit shower, shave, move over to the stove, then I whip it like a slave. I mean,
this is the thing about me.
I don't know how you feel about that as a chorus, but I think that's a bit fucking fun.
Yeah, I'm unsure about that one.
But
I think this is the thing about mixtapes, is that they kind of disappear from. They kind of. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, that popped.
Oh, right. Sorry, I was saying this is the thing about the mixtape world, is that because they were kind of illegal and like the tracks all kind of weren't owned necessarily by anyone, or like they were owned by that existed from and then just disappeared off the earth. A lot of them just haven't bothered following them up by getting them distributed anywhere else. So they just kind of don't exist.
Well, I think as well, in a lot of cases, like, I mean, there's stuff, it's weird because two good examples of this, Slim Thug and Killer Kyleon have got like all of their mixtapes on Spotify. And like Purple Punch Volume 1 by Killer Kyleon is probably one of the best, I think it's one of the best Southern mixtapes. And there's one they did together called Having Things 2003. Or it's just Having Things. But it came out like a couple of years before Already Platinum. And it's just those two like freestyling to like Crazy in Love beat by Beyonce. But like Slim Thug's got that on his Spotify with no credit to anyone other than Slim Thug and Killer Kyleon. So they're collecting on that, and it's obviously not been picked up. I mean, I hope it doesn't now get picked up because we've discussed it on here. I mean, I doubt.
I doubt it, yeah.
I doubt we're going to be hitting those sorts of radars. But
Sony's got bigger fish to fry.
And then there's others, you know, because at the time, most DJs were obviously just getting instrumentals and letting anyone spit on them. They weren't their instrumentals, but it was just kind of, I mean, I know the major labels understood it was happening and said nothing because it was the best way to actually get an artist buzz. So I know a lot of it was kind of permissively illegal. But so I don't know if that's still the case on Spotify. Like, I can't imagine Slim Thug freestyling on a Beyonce beat is doing much for Beyonce's career in 2020.
Yeah, I think the mixtape world has kind of changed a bit in that there's less of it being like kind of having that sort of dancehall rhythm style sort of strategy where like there'll be one beat that'll be shared amongst like 15 people. You know, it's now turned into more of a these are just songs that I'm going to fit on an album and I'm going to put them out as a mixtape kind of thing and not do much, if any, marketing.
Well, I guess
it's a bit sad because, like, you know, I kind of like having like early.
I think that culture's kind of moved over to YouTube and SoundCloud, like, and I like Lloyd Banks has been freestyling on like that new Jadakiss beat, Hunting Season, and just putting them on his Instagram stories because obviously it's the only place you can put them where they're not flagged, I guess. But obviously you can't sell that like a CD like back in the day. But I think that's now where that's gone. There's still, but Banks is old school by current standards. Like he's sort of. It feels like he's trying to build a buzz the old-fashioned way by just freestyling on all the beats of the moment. And he was on I think he did a Trippie Redd beat not too long ago as well, and he's just started doing that. So I think that's quite an interesting approach. I don't know too many other people who are doing that kind of thing at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, early 2000s, it was all anyone did. Like any good beat, you'd just find your favourite rapper freestyling on your favourite beat. There'd be like a combination for everything.
It weren't just rappers though. I mean, like, I've got you remember that Blue Cantrell song "Breathe"?
Yeah, well, that was a Dre beat. That was originally Eminem and Exhibit, wasn't it?
It was, but then like in between that being like them turning it down, like I've got like a version where it's just Blue Cantrell throughout the entire thing. No one needs that, but I have it. I mean, it's like so you're getting like you're kind of like experiencing the full.
That doesn't surprise me. Hackney Market?
Yes. You kind of. In fact, there might have been Stratford Computer Fair.
Ye olde Stratford Computer Fair.
Yeah.
Was it fair spelled Fayre?
No, not that good. No.
Was it like Blue Cantrell mixtapes and Fairport Convention playing live? What was the? Did you grab a Stack Bundles mixtape and a jug of mead?
I mean, in a word, yes.
Jug of mead.
There would have been a shop catering for that.
Whatever. Yeah, I miss the mixtape era. I used to like the sort of. I mean, it comes back round to the initial discussion of Lil Wayne. There was that thing of like. Because people would make mixtapes, like there's like I've got one which is The Game and 2-pack, and it's called All Out War, the GU Not mixtape. So it was all the Game's anti-G Unit freestyle stuff, but then they just spliced in loads of 2-pack verses, and it's like I get the vibe no one signed off on this. The levels are everywhere, but there's a couple of really good things on it, and I used to like. It was a bit like buying a scratch card, buying a mixtape. Like you'd spend a tenner or a fiver depending on where you're copping them. And it was absolutely anyone's guess as to whether you'd get your money's worth or not.
God.
But then you'd have really good series like Gangsta Grills, DJ Drama. Obviously the Green Lantern ones, G Unit Radio. There was some reliable ones.
The DJ Clue ones, man. Like
Clue ones were insane.
That one just like I wouldn't say it started it, but it made mixtapes a bit more mainstream, I think. When Clue was doing them.
Yeah, he was. Oh, well, there was also Funkmaster Flex, who I can't stand.
No, I'm
just
because
he's just the American Tim Westwood. He just shouts over everything the whole time.
You see, but it's different though because it's like so Flex does that and it's just annoying, but then when K Slay does it, it's fine.
That's true. Yeah, Flex is an annoying shouter. K Slay's got some sort of style to it. I used to like all the little noises as well. Like every DJ had their little soundboard noises. So obviously Westwood had the explosion and the glass smash. Who was the one who had the cannon? Every time a beat dropped, it just went the cannon.
That was DJ Cannon.
Was that okay?
Yeah, there was DJ Cannon. There was there was DJ Grills was Gangster Grizzles.
Yeah. That's DJ Drama, Gangster Grills, and it was Little John shouting it, wasn't it? It was Little John.
Yeah.
Ad lib. But no, so yeah, back to Wayne. I think as I said, I admire how much he puts out and how much of it is good, and I admire that all the bad crap comes out too, and you can hear that and go, well, at least he tried. But when I look at it, I was like, should he not have more good stuff for the sheer volume he put out? I'd say he's like, I don't know. I'd need to do a full-on assessment. I'd need to get some analytics going. But I feel like you should have more good stuff based on the amount you've done.
Yeah, I think the bad stuff is on his albums, and the good stuff isn't, which is the reverse of most artists.
Yeah, I agree with that actually. Same as actually another one of those is Joe Budden. Joe Budden's mixtapes are always far better than his finished album projects, or they were when he was doing like mood music and stuff.
Yeah, his latest album is weird. I mean, I say latest; it was like 2 years ago. But
is that one where he has beef with his own son?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like the whole thing's just him slating his son. It's like, well, no offense, mate, you raised him. So shut the fuck up. Take some responsibility. Yeah, Budden. That's a burning chat for another day. We'll touch on that later. So, what are you saying, Lil Wayne? As good as we reckon, or maybe?
I mean, how do you feel about it now? Because it's the thing that's been kind of bothering you quite a lot.
I mean, I love him as an iconoclast. Like, I think he suits, in a weird way, he actually suits the streaming age more, because you can just, if I put together a list of his 50 greatest tracks, you would believe he's probably the greatest rapper alive. But if you then had to listen to all the albums and mixtapes that those 50 great tracks came off, you'd be like, Jesus fucking Christ. I think in a weird way, he suits this era more because you can customize what you hear of him. But I sat and listened to...
best songs are at the top of his list.
Yeah.
Or the top.
I sat and listened to the Carter 3 end to end, and it's like 95 minutes long or something. It's longer than some good films. And that was like, by the end of it, I was like, I'm not convinced I ever want to hear Lil Wayne again. But then you hear something by him that's really good, and you're like, oh no. Like Mona Lisa with Kendrick Lamar is amazing. And I think that's on Carter 5. Yeah. But most of Carter 5's absolute shite.
Is that the one with the G? Is that the one with the G-Dep song?
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, it's called, the song's called Hype, I think, or Energy, and it's just him on the G-Dep beat, and it sums it up. One of the best tracks on there is him rapping on an old 2003 beat that's been rinsed for a decade or two, like.
From a rapper who genuinely turned himself in for a crime that he may or may not have committed. He's unsure.
Let's face it, Diddy made him turn it. Diddy probably turned him in because he did it.
Probably, yeah. Is Shine out yet?
Yeah, I think he's out again. Yeah, isn't he a minister now?
Sorry, I have no idea.
We'll look into it at the next music break. Shall we go into? In fact, let's go into "Hose" by Lil Wayne.
I was going to do that, but then you mentioned one, and I was like, hang on. That is like such a good track and beat, and it surpasses it.
Mrs. Officer featuring Kid.
No, it features Bobby Valentino, and no.
Kid's on it.
Oh yeah, we aren't having that. No, it's this one I was going to put on. We can maybe go into that one after, but let's.
Yeah, all right. Come on, let's do one of each to show. We should show the polarity of Wayne across, because they're both on the same album. Is it like the beat build you're putting on?
It is Let the Beat Build.
Yeah, all right, yeah. Because this can show the polarity of Wayne's abilities. These tracks are like 5 tracks apart on the album.
I'm gonna kill these niggas, man. Yeah. Straight off the block with it. Eagle Street to be specific. I'm peeping at you, people different. I pay my dues, you keep the difference. I can see the end in the beginning. So I'm not racing, I'm just sprinting. Cause Cause I don't wanna finish. They diminish, I replenish. Scientific, I'm out this world, ho. I wear bright red, like a girl told. No homo, fingernails dirty. I've been counting dirty money since 12:30 a.m. Weigh them, if they short, take them right back and spray him. Amen. Yeah, I just do my Wayne, and every time I do it, I do my thing. Yeah, believe that, like a true story. Rims big, make the car look like it's 2 stories. If I hop out, that'd be suicide. No back seats, call that paralyzed. I don't have a spine, I don't fantasize. I mastermind, then go after mine. You see, I handle mine, I dismantle mine. I told her toolbox, bitches hammer time. So excuse me as I nail him, test him, fail him, just repel him. I'ma kill him, someone tell him I'ma kill him. I'ma fill him up, his mama can't tell him, and the doctors can't heal him. I'ma kill him, and yeah, we sell him. I know you smell him. If you want it, you can just yell in the beat in the morning at your telly. Whole keys go for 20, half a key go for 11. After me there will be nothing. I am legend, and I will Smith. Now that's how you let the beat build, bitch. That's how you let the beat build, bitch. Now that's how you let the beat build, bitch. Let the beat build, bitch. And the beat go boom, 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 boom. It go boom, boom, boom. Now say, come on, just a snare in the 808. Weezy baby on the mic, DOA. Okay, I like to thank Kanye and my nigga Diesel from giving me this diesel like a F-350. Tank never empty. Damn, everybody in a bank act friendly. Used to think my shit didn't stink, boy, was I wrong. Approving $1 million deals from my phone. I'ma take it 1, 2 way back, like a silk white beater in a wave cap, or the wave pool that blew by you, and I waved fool as I blew by you. Hello, hi you, I can buy you, but I wouldn't try you, feed you to Pyro. I know what I'm doing, I show improvement, and I know just to go into it could never amount to going through it, whatever or how you wanna do it, we can do it like we late. Hey, wait, Diesel, let me just get the 808. As I hit the kill switch, now that's how you let the beat build, bitch. 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 And the beat go boom, boom, boom. It go boom, boom, boom. The beat go boom, boom, boom. Now everybody say yeah, the best rapper alive. I am the best rapper alive. And I will eat you alive. Nigga, lie. Damn, I get in the nigga chest like a bunch of flam. Like a fucking ram. I'm a hump full of lamb. I'm a dump man in a dumpster can. You ain't a soldier ass Uncle Sam. Hair nappy like Pam. Nigga, fuck your clan. Fuck your man. You ain't a pimp unless you get the same bitch to fuck your man. And fuck your clan. And all my bitches know that's my plan. Oh, goddamn. There's my sound. Pole playing like that's my band. Gotta get it cleared. Suck my dick with red lipstick and don't let it smear. And I got a lot of tattoos. And I meant every tear. And I'm still on that street shit. Back to the beat, bitch. That's how you let the beat build, bitch. That's how you let the beat build, bitch. Let the beat build, let's say. And the beat go boom, boom, boom. It go boom, boom, boom. The beat
Right, so, I mean, I really like Let the Beat Build. I think it's a banger.
Yeah,
Now,
I think that's one of his finest.
Definitely. Now, you're suggesting that we go for Lil Wayne and Manny Fresh Hose, just to show the juxtaposition of Lil Wayne.
I think so, yeah. And this one I dedicate to Potte, who we opened the show with, because one of my main lockdown activities, besides desperately trying to recreate revenue streams now that the festival world is gone, one of my main lockdown activities has been just sending Silver and Potte links to the track Hose by Lil Wayne on every streaming service and sort of bombing his posts with links to it. And I can't remember how the joke even started, but he's obviously really bored of it, and I I'm only finding it more amusing the more bored he is. So yeah, here's Lil Wayne and Manny Fresh for Hose, dedicated to our dear friend Potte.
You bloody loves it.
I move you to my city, put your ass in your window. I have you looking pretty, hit the ab, not get the dough. That Gucci gon' picture like you're supposed to be in pictures. I got
Sounds
computer
good,
love, baby,
yeah.
Wayne to change your image. You
Shit
need
like,
wizard,
I've
them
got
other
computer
boys
love,
just
baby, Wayne
gimmicks.
will change your
Me, I'm
image.
just game green and straight physics, is you with it? Yeah, and I ain't even trying to hit it. I'ma get it when it's time to get it. Let's talk about
Hoes. Let's just talk about hoes.
Okay.
Can we talk about hoes?
Okay.
Hoes. Let's just talk about hoes.
I mean, this is Manny Fresh's tune.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great man.
Manny Fresh has had a few.
Name Shelly, that love Machiavelli. Number 5, combo meals and splashing KY jelly. I was old school shorty, still drank a 40. Grab a mic, start a fight and fuck up the whole party. Baby, you should leave, adjust your weave. That's Velcro, hell no, bitch, go with Steve. Got this lead singer bitch from a popular group. I would say her name, but she bought me a coupe. Got this Hoover hoe shiner, smell like marijuana. She dig Lil Wayne, but she love the big timer. Got pretty girl Patrice, found out I'm fucking her niece. She tried to stab her, so I grabbed her and we called the police. Mr. Officer, the bitch done lost it, bruh. She gone to jail, oh well, I be fucking her. Seen 2 dark Spanish twins, nuts pressed on their chins. Will we go video? Well, nigga, that depends.
Let's just talk about hoes. Can we talk about hoes? These hoes.
That's right, man.
I don't love them.
See, this right here is on-screen pimping, off-screen pimping. You know what I'm talking about? I'm sitting in direct the channel, my name in the back. Yeah, what up, young Mo? Young Jay. Yeah, I got old school bitches and new school hoes. Female basketball players with cornrows. And I don't like short hair girls, no, not really. If I do, she gotta look like the old Halle Berry or the broke Tony Braxton, the first Lil Kim. But I still take her ass and work with them. Put your ass in the jack and I jerk it quick. Get your ass a little game if you smirking. I'm a pimp, not a simp, like ice in my drink. And I don't think twice a blink, cause I'm focused. Rolling in the whitest mink like I'm polar bear. Yeah, let down my hair. Get jazzy on a bitch like Fred Astaire. Rose gold in her face, get a red as glare. My Bentley plum, my Mercedes pair. I am looking for a freak, mama, take me there. Yeah. See what you got right here is Manny Fresh and your boy Lil Weezy, man. We pimpin' a major way, know what I'm talking about? This what we came up to do, this how we gon' go down doing it. Big, that's right. What's good, mama? Ain't no motherfucking time in this world for you to be mean, you know what I'm talking about? Just keep everything soft, sweet, and clean. Is that Kulaks or jeans? You know what I'm talking about? The way you wear them, I really can't tell, but all I know is you find the sale. So what's good? Is you fucking with me or is you fucking me or am I fucking you? You know what I'm talking about? I ain't trying to throw my back out, maybe I throw yours out. I ain't throwing no cash out, but you just throw that ass out, come back to dad's house and give it back to me. That's what's good. Just lay it right there on the table, keep everything stable, man. Hey, real.
I think we've had enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think they should just leave the beat playing and not speak on it. Right, so that was Is Lil Wayne Good? What else been on your mind, mate? What's next?
I agree. What's on my mind? What's got my goose this week?
What else aside from the relevance of Bond in a contemporary society? What else you got on there?
So news today, and by today I mean the 10th of June. God knows when this goes out, but it's gone with the wind being taken off. It's gone with the wind being taken off of streaming platforms. And by streaming platforms, I mean HBO Max. Who knew that was a thing?
Is there is there a cheaper service called HBO Min?
I don't know.
What's that one?
I guess
I've never even heard. So who owns HBO? Who's that?
I've got a feeling it's owned by News Corp. You know, Sky News Corp.
Yeah,
company.
I'll have a look. You whilst you talk us through the incident, I'll have a quick check for that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not too sure, but yeah. As I was saying, So Gone with the Wind has been lifted from HBO Max. I know, right? And it's believed to do with the sort of portrayal of the black actress in there, Mammy, and its depiction of black people, and which is it's an important subject and relevant. But then my issue is that where it's such a good film, or at least in my opinion, it's such a good film, should it still stay on there and just have disclaimers saying, the channel's position on this, or should it be taken off, and should we look at other films that are pretty close to the bone on this sort of stuff too and consider those?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's an interesting... Gone with the Wind's a really interesting one of those, because there's some films that, like, they just... they're just like Birth of a Nation, which depicts the Ku Klux Klan as the heroes that ride in and save the day from the savages, is like that. I think that should only be shown in the context of film studies and film history, as saying like, look, this is what it used to be. Like, these sorts of films got made and displayed publicly as, as works of history as much as they were works of art. Like, they were, But I don't know. Gone with the Wind's an interesting one, because obviously, like that. Sorry, I'm gonna have to look her name up because I've just forgotten it, which is always good. The actress in it, Hattie McDaniels. She was the first, for her role in Gone with the Wind. She was the first black actor of any gender. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure she was the first black actor to win an Academy Award. So, like, although the depictions, like, there's some really questionable stuff in it, and like, apparently some Confederate Civil War veterans went to the premiere, and Hattie McDaniels wasn't allowed to the premiere in Atlanta because segregation was still a thing at the time. But then it's like, she also won an Academy Award as a black actor when black actors on screen were not really getting roles, particularly not any that commanded Oscar attention.
Yeah,
so it's historically noteworthy for that in a positive way, but it's also historically noteworthy in negative ways. So, but then it's kind of like, I don't know, it feels to me like, and it's also, when you take out there's a lot of dodgy politics in it, or sort of lack of, like, it never really depicts, I haven't seen it in quite a while, to be fair, but it doesn't really depict the Civil War. Like, it doesn't depict the South as bad guys or anything. It's not really critical of the causes of the Civil War.
Yeah, it feels like the Civil War is less than a subplot.
Yeah. Well, it feels
like it's less than a subplot. It's a tertiary thing.
Yeah, it's just something that drives the action. Sorry, mate, you broke up there. Do you want to go again on that bit? Your internet.
Great. No,
you've got a Civil War era internet.
I think I do. I think the South is rising again.
Via your Wi-Fi connection. I don't know. It's a difficult one, because there's definitely a lot of questionable film catalogue that I don't necessarily think it needs to be removed, but it certainly needs an explainer to come with it. Like, it probably needs it. Like, do you remember when Film 4 used to do those really good intros to every film by Mark Kermode? He'd like come on and just deliver like a little 2-minute piece about it before it started. I almost think they, like, if you're going to put Gone with the Wind on now, because it is a good, it is a brilliant epic film to watch. It's quite a good Sunday afternoon. Slowly get too drunk to remember the last 3/4 of an hour because it's 4 hours long. But it needs to come with a caveat from a historian being like, this is kind of not what it is.
Yeah, and it kind of makes you think, like, Well, where do we stop with that? Like, do we take off Driving Miss Daisy? Like, I mean, that's fucking bad.
Yeah,
I mean, South Pacific. I said.
Yeah, and it's that
Before.
also that strange thing of like it's like it's not quite on the same level, but I rewatched there's a western with Charles Bronson and Toshiro Mifune called Red Sun. And Bronson plays like your archetypal Western cowboy, and Toshiro Mifune plays your archetypal Eastern samurai. And they end up going on, you know, a mission across the West to retrieve a sword. And it's like, it's a bit dated now, and there's some sort of stuff in it that's not. But then at the time, it was quite progressive. And for a lot of audiences, that probably would have been the first time they'd seen Toshiro Mifune in a film. And those sorts of films help to make those, you know, to cross over those genres and those styles. And they might not hold up as well as they did. I mean, Gone with the Wind's a lot more questionable, but then it was made in 1946. And it's like then you get a film like Darkest Hour from 2018, the Churchill film. And that, you know, there's a whole scene in that, the now infamous tube scene, where he hops out of his, you know, his limo to work and rides on the tube with the normal people, and they make him decide to stick in the war and you know, make D-Day happen. And that literally didn't happen. And like, he's on the train chatting to a black guy, and I think there's a Chinese person on the train too. And it's like, none of that happened. You're literally lying about history in 2018. Whereas in 1946, that was a slightly, you know, different era. And that stuff was all a lot closer to home. And there were probably still people going to the cinema who had those opinions.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, to be actively lying about it now in 2018 in a major mainstream film, when, especially with what's happened in the last few weeks, when so much is being looked at of Churchill's dodgy legacy of, you know, his kind of racist Little Englander beliefs. I'm like, well, that, if you're going to pull Gone with the Wind, I think you should pull that too, because that's literally fabricating bits of history, and it definitely was made in the time when you should know better.
Yeah, and also it's just bad.
And it's a shit film, and it's shite, so like, you know. So I like how Gary Oldman only has 2 performances now. He either shouts the whole time, or he takes his glasses off and does that when he needs to not shout. He'd just take his glasses off and wipe his face and not shout, or he just shouts with glasses on, and that's basically his go-to, his 2 performances now. And he got the Oscar for this one because he shouted really loudly. But that's another thing, like, that won an Oscar for lying about a racist.
How bad a year was that? Because it couldn't have been that bad. Like, there were some good films that year, if I remember right. Which year was it? 2018?
I think it's 2018, Darkest Hour. But, I mean, I can't believe there wasn't a better performance than Gary Oldman going, "There's a tiger in my mouth," for 2 hours.
Exactly. I mean, on the opposite end, well, I say opposite end of the spectrum, loose opposite end of the spectrum, wasn't Black...
Say again, mate?
And that cleaned up, of course, but...
Just say that again, your stream clapped out a bit.
Damn it. Yeah. I say it was 2018. Wasn't Black Panther also 2018? I mean, I'm sure, though it did clean up, I'm sure like Boseman in that was better than...
Yeah, I mean, I think Black Panther was. I mean, I'm just looking at the nominees here, and so in the year Gary Oldman won for the fabrication of a somewhat racist politician, and I don't think it's that good of a performance. There's no subtlety. The other nominees were Daniel Day-Lewis for Phantom Thread, which is absolutely astounding performance. I mean, he's probably had enough, but you know, Timothy Chalamet for Call Me by My Name, that's amazing. Daniel Kaluuya for Get Out. Sorry.
Man, that is... Oh.
And Denzel Washington for Roman J. Israel Esquire.
I mean, now that was an underrated banger, that film.
I've not seen it, but I feel...
Genuinely...
I feel all of those performances, all the ones I've seen there are better than Oldman's, and those actors aren't depicting racist politicians who have had the past tweaked in their favor. So I don't know. Again, it's like, I feel if you're gonna, as much as Gone with the Wind has its problems, if you're gonna pull that for historic reasons, I think Darkest Hour definitely needs to come off the shelf too.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But there's this mystique about Churchill, though, isn't it? It's like it's the PR campaign that will never die. It's kind of he cannot not be portrayed as a hero because World War II is still quite fresh for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose perhaps, and if we're giving it that kind of, if we're going to give it that leniency, then, you know, the Civil War was quite fresh for a lot of people when Gone with the Wind came out. So
that's true.
By that token possibly not being an appropriate word there, perhaps Gone with the Wind should have the same leniency, because when it came out, that, you know, that was a sore point for so many people, right or wrong.
True.
I don't know. The thing is,
now as opposed to.
I think the thing is, the British identity is so locked into World War II and winning the World Cup in whatever year in the 60s. And it's kind of like we haven't got anything else. Our entire history is like despicable, really. The empire's like, you know, stained with the blood of everywhere we went. But it's like the Brexit thing, you know. I mean, Darkest Hour came out just as the Brexit thing was all kind of coming to a head. And again, I thought it was I didn't think it was an appropriate time to put a film like that out, particularly a film that whitewashes the details of the man in it. Like, and it's weird, yeah, like the British identity is so tied up in winning World War II. And like, you know, during Brexit, people were using, oh, you know, we can do it. We won World War II on our own. What do we need Europe for? And it's like, do you not know anything about how World War II worked? Like, we were on our ass till everyone else joined in.
Yeah, we definitely weren't on our own, and people who are decorated as not even anti-heroes, as the enemy now are you know, they kind of helps us out a bit.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it's just, yeah, it's a lack of historical awareness. Like, I see it around here in Lowestoft massively, you know, like the local Spoons, which, let's cut the shit, is a meeting point for ignorant white people. Wherever you go, but
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, but the one here is the one here is called the Joseph Conrad, who was a famous writer, but he was a Polish migrant who turned up in the UK not speaking a word of English, and then became the esteemed writer and changed his name and everything. And you get people in there moaning about Polish people and talking about British pride, and, you know, we've got writers like Conrad, and it's like you don't even understand how much our history is dependent on other things. And then you're there like blowing the trumpet for England using a Polish migrant as your champion in the name of your pub. And it's just like, it's fucking ridiculous, really. It just, you wonder why you bother. It's not even worth trying, like, you know, it's just exhausting to even deal with these. But yeah, so I sort of just think, if you're going to pull things like Gone with the Wind for historical, you know, murkiness, which is fair enough. Like, I've seen it, and I think it has relevance as a cinematic, as a film history thing. But I don't know. I feel it's not. There's films that should definitely be pulled alongside it. And I think it's just a tokenistic, I reckon from their end, it's a tokenistic gesture to score some house points amidst the current civil rights discussions.
Well, I feel at ease with that. I feel like I'm not alone in my estimation that it's a contentious issue that can lead to more stones being unturned, and I'm happy to unturn them. Let's get back into. Go on.
I think if nothing else, though, we've just had a really interesting discussion about it, and it's, if nothing else, at least it's got people actually thinking about old films that might be a bit ropey and considering their appropriateness in a modern context. And that alone it still needs to be talked about, even if the decision is to leave it in place. It's good that it's getting discussed.
For sure, indeed.
And I still think it's better
Right,
than half the James Bond films we talked about earlier.
Oh, mate, yeah. No, I completely forgot about Daniel Craig, to be honest with you. I wish he weren't in this new one. Never mind. I'm going to get into a new tune. I wish. I'm going to get into a new tune. It's Paul Wall and Lil Kiki featuring Slim Thug with So Trill.
Absolutely not related to what we were on about, but banging all the same.
I mean, it would be awkward if I played something that was. What do you want me to play? Something by the Ku Klux Klan?
Yeah. Have you got anything off the Song of the South soundtrack? What's
Shall I play something from South Pacific? What's that one? Happy Talk.
I feel we would get content flag for that.
Living.
I'm going to use
So
this chance to get a...
I'm going to get another drink.
H-Town here. We do this for the slab. What did you expect? Been killing the game and we just came for respect. They know we a king just from the chains on his neck. I ain't sweating these hoes, I'm only here for the check. The life for the trio, no rest for the real. I'm loving this shit, couldn't give a fuck how they feel. A legendary spiller, used to be a dealer. Still knocking doors down, yeah, a concrete killer. I'm knocking doors down.
Living life so trill. Living life so trill. Living life so trill.
Dugger.
Living life so
Life so triller, underground king still. They try to say I'm not since I started making meals. Big face, blue bills, turn a square into a slut. I'm sugar daddy slim, bitch, you tryna live or what? Fresh off the boat, but I ain't an immigrant. I'm just floating up the coast, showing island hoes the print. Stay bent in the bench, still 5% tent. Rolling slow down the slab, still tipping through residence. Thugger.
living life so trill. Living life so trill. Living life so trill. Living life so trill.
Bumper kid recline, lights on, coming down. 25-8, I got money on my mind. No matter how you do it, haters still gon' talk down. Riding with the red line, I'ma climb. Every time I turn around, heads turn around. Never turn my back, always stay down. Solid under pressure, never fold, never drown. This how it is when you trill.
Yeah, and we knocking doors down.
Living life so trill. Living life so trill. Living life so trill. Living life so trill.
Like Ray Parlour, I just got myself a Cobra. What are you going for?
Ray Parlour, each and every. Maybe we can have another little reading from his autobiography
Oh
at the
yeah.
end of the show if you're feeling the spirit within you.
You know, it's only Ray Parlour's autobiography, The Wrong for Pele.
Ooh. Ooh.
Sunday Times bestseller. Sounds good. All right, Matty.
So,
What else is on your mind this?
So we're gonna I'm just gonna play a video that I saw on so my friend Ian and I are both members of a Facebook group called Tet Lord of the Rings, and it's just Lord of the Rings based memes, which is a bottomless pit of mirth for me. And they've just
Says lots about yourself.
They put one up the other day, which is Anthony Hopkins based. And so yeah, it just reminded me.
Oh, is this what you sent me earlier today?
Yeah, It just reminded me of what an
And
absolute Hopkins is.
I thought it was your video trickery again.
So let's play this quickly, and then we'll talk about the man, the myth, Anthony Hopkins. So, I've no idea the context of that video, and I'm not quite sure if that's even Anthony Hopkins or not, but it looks like him, and it's really funny to imagine it is. And then I got, similar to Lil Wayne, I got to thinking about Anthony Hopkins, and I was like, is he actually that good of an actor? Because he's done a lot of shit. And...
So, right, at the start of this chat, in the chat box on the side, if you're watching on YouTube, at the start of this, I said, because I was pouring myself a Heineken at the time, I've moved up in the world to a Cobra now, but I said, remember when Hopkins played Mr. Heineken?
Yeah, I don't remember
and
this.
you
When
hadn't
did he play?
seen it.
What is this?
So it's the story of the kidnapping of Mr. Heineken, the heir to the Heineken throne.
Right.
It's a true story.
I don't know about this either. What happened here? So the heir to the Heineken throne was kidnapped.
Yeah, in the Netherlands, the heir to the Heineken throne got the
heir to the throne of Heineken
Netherlands.
was a member of the Levelers.
I wish. No, in the Netherlands.
He's a white guy with dreadlocks who played the fiddle. What? Right. So.
But Hopkins plays the owner of the Heineken company, and he gets kidnapped, and he just plays like this weird frail old man throughout the entire thing. It's no like absolute madcap stuff that you see in modern Hopkins. I think it's like 2014 or 15.
I've never see. This is what I mean. He now just churns out. He's a bit like Kingsley. He's a once respected actor who churns out utter shite. And I'm like, but then we recently rewatched Hannibal, which I haven't seen since probably shortly after it came out. And that film's fucking awful. Like, he literally walks around dressed like he's just been kicked off a saga boat and looking like he's not aware that he's just been kicked off a saga boat. Like, it's just like some old cunt who's got lost off a cruise ship and he's decided he's going to eat Ray Liotta's head. It's just
sounds very similar to that. It sounds very similar to the kidnapping of Mr. Heineken.
Is he on a cruise in that? Wearing camel-coloured linen.
Sorry, go again. The internet went a bit.
I said, is he on a cruise in that wearing camel-coloured linen?
I think there's like a part where he travels in the back of a lorry for a long time. But not quite a cruise.
It's a P&O Ferries level cruise. So I started thinking back, and I was like, because we watched that one. In fact, it was probably the last time I saw you in physical space. We fell asleep through the two popes.
Yes. No, I fell asleep. You watched the entire thing.
I don't know.
At least you told me you did.
Drifted off a couple of points. I was pretty keen. We've been drinking all that brown lager.
We drank a lot of brown lager, and we had like 4 people's worth of Caribbean dinner.
Yeah, they massively overpacked the order. It wasn't our fault. But in that, I'm like, Hopkins isn't bad in it, but it's like a almost taking the piss performance, and I'm like, tonally, I didn't understand whether he was kind of playing it how he'd been asked to, or whether he wasn't really taking it seriously. And then obviously there's Collide with Sir Ben, which we've documented at length multiple times because it's one of the greatest things ever.
But then he does smash it out of the park sometimes in like the Westworld.
I've not seen the Westworld.
it's like one of the best things to one of the best series.
Yeah,
It's
considering I love
genuinely
westerns
great.
and high concept sci-fi, I don't really know why I've never watched it.
Yeah, that baffles me. I thought you had done it. I thought you told me about it.
I might have told you about the
well.
Yul Brynner film, but I've not seen the new version. Side note.
I mean, I feel like you would have done both.
Total side note. It always threw me that one of the bobsleigh team in Cool Runnings is called Yul Brynner, and no one makes a reference to that at any point.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
the hard one, the bald guy,
Yeah,
who's
yeah.
like the beefcake. He's called Yul Brynner, and no one mentions that that's a famous cowboy name. Like it just was one of them things that, well, not a cowboy, famous actor name,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
obviously popular for a few big cowboy roles.
Hmm.
But yeah. So Hopkins, I mean, the last time I can genuinely remember him being good in something was The Indian Runner. No, The World's Fastest Indian, I think it's called, where he's trying to break the land speed record. He plays a maverick inventor based on a true... And that's actually a great performance. But then it's like he's in the new Transformers. He's in Transformers 5
Is he?
or 4.
Hang on, is he?
Yeah, he plays like some aristocrat, like mad guy in like a castle.
Okay.
He's just Hopkins doing Hopkins, basically. But then I looked at it and I was looking at, I mean, if we're talking about the classic Welsh thespian, obviously Richard Burton is top of that tree and Hopkins is probably second in command. But then when I look at Burton's filmography, he's made so much utter shit and there's just a few brilliant performances tucked in there. But most of it's absolute toilet.
I mean, I'm looking. Oh wait. Oh, I've just stumbled across. I'm sort of going through some of his history. Right. Okay, so it is before The World's Fastest Indian. But do you remember Bad Company with Chris Rock?
Oh God! So yes, I do. What a treat! From the era when everything had to have a rapper or a black stand-up in it, like there was that moment where Def Comedy Jam and Def Jam sort of had. I remember there's a brilliant. I think it's the Total Film Review. Me and my older brother Andy quote this to each other all the time. There was a review of Bad Company when it came out, and they had the line. It was clearly like they obviously had very little to say about the film. It was a piece of shit, but they came up with the winning line in the review. They put Anthony Hopkins shifts across the screen with all the grace of a constipated warthog in clogs. Which to this day I still remember and quote it, and I just think that's what film journalism's about.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Hopkins. Oh, The Bounty, which is currently on Netflix. Fantastic film. It's a remake of Mutiny on the Bounty with Hopkins, Gibson, Neil Morrissey from Men Behaving Badly and Waterloo Road.
God.
Worth a look. He's great in that. But generally, I'm like, is he as good as I seem to remember? Because every time I go back and watch him in something, he's shit in it. Or I thought he was shit the first time round.
Yeah. I've just gone in and seen. So the film's the kidnapping of Freddie Heineken.
I've never heard of that. Is that like
I don't think it travelled
DVD?
that far. I think it would have been. I think it would have been targeted almost exclusively to the Netherlands or to like Benelux.
Fair.
But I just don't think it ever really. No one seems to know it.
Heineken drinkers, would we not have like hit some targeted marketing for that?
I mean, if we haven't yet, we should.
As like people that all we do is discuss films and drink Heineken, I feel like we should be Venn diagram of where that targeted ad's going.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's how I've seen it. I don't know.
Have you seen? How did you see it? I don't understand.
I think it was. So there's two different ways. I don't actually know which of the one is the right answer here. But it's when I was in Tunisia, and you get some really obscure films down the bootleg DVD store.
Oh, mate, to be honest, yeah, we went in that DVD shop, and I nearly shit myself. It was brilliant. There was just some of the strangest, nichest, great stuff in there.
So it could be there, or it could be so. While in Tunisia, we have this friend who who works for the Dutch some Dutch company or Dutch government or something, and I think he lent us a DVD or a USB rather with a bunch of films on, and I think that might have been one of them. And I was like, "What the hell is this? This is the best thing I've ever seen, and also terrible."
I'll have to. Did the USB also have all 4 series of Remington Steele on?
No. That's still on one of your hard drives that you haven't cleaned up yet.
Not interested, mate. Not interested. I'll have to check it out. I've not heard of it. All right. Well, I'll tell you what then. We'll park Anthony Hopkins to be decided. I'll watch the kidnapping of Bobby Heineken or whatever it's called. And,
yeah.
We'll then come back to that one.
Yeah, I mean, in the Thor films, he's completely unnecessary. I'm not gonna include that in the.
Oh yeah, he plays Odin, doesn't he?
Yeah, I'm not gonna include that.
That's kind of like that's his level now. Comic book panto, fucking Thunder God. Like that's about where he's actually. That's where he's actually at as an actor. Like that's probably about. Stick him in a bathrobe, make him do a big silly voice.
Comic book panto Thunder God. Jesus. Oh man, that is the harshest type of casting ever. That's the harshest type of typecasting ever.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I calls them like I sees them. I'll tell you what. On that note, let's segue nicely. Let's get some Hannibal Rex on.
How are we going to segue into this?
Let's get a Hannibal Rex tune on, mate. I'll let me tee up one of them, and we'll come back.
Are you doing that, all right?
I need to go to the toilet now. I've had too much gin.
Didn't you just go, or was that?
No. That was to get another gin. I now need to get rid of the gin that I've been rocking with. Never mind all that. Let's get on with the next topic. What's been burning you up this week, Ashley? Well, apparently your Wi-Fi has. Maybe we should discuss that whenever your speeds catch up. I think your attempts to use Spotify whilst on the Wi-Fi has made it shit a brick.
It's playing now, right? Oh wait, we need the volume.
There we go. Very good.
Right, let's pull it up.
Wheel that. I'm going for a piss.
It was the hardest decision I ever made, to leave Arsenal, to leave Essex, the place where I had always lived. It was a huge step personally and professionally. I was gutted, really. I wanted to stay, but I was desperate to play football every week. You always hope you won't get injured, but as you get older, you are less confident, and how your body will hold up. I knew at some point my knee would give up on me.
That was Kikuji's very own Hannibal Rex there with Moonshine. Absolute stomper. Oh, did you read a bit of Ray Parlour whilst I was having a piss?
I did. Yeah. You missed out on that
I can't
one.
believe I missed out on another reading of Ray. What was he up to? What was he roustabouting this time?
He was in a difficult decision, a proper crossroads, a genuine crossroads. He was towards the latter
he wasn't
end
in
of
the Channel 5 soap.
No. Well, maybe
that would be great if he was like special guest Ray Parlour. He's just a wanker, just wanker running around the hospital doing keepy uppies with a litre bottle of Cobra.
But no, he was making a decision whether or not to stay at Arsenal and to stay in Essex or to leave. And the following chapter is called "To Hull and Back."
Has he named every chapter after a Only Fools and Horses episode?
Is that an episode of Only Fools and Horses as well?
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. There's also has he got another chapter called Miami Twice?
No, there's one called My Generation. There's Parlour versus Parlour, which is a bit like Tip versus Tip or T.I. versus Tip.
I mean, I reckon it's conceptually stronger than that record is.
Yeah.
T.I. versus Tip literally gives up on like the second track with the concept of T.I. versus Tip.
Yeah, it completely falls off the map, doesn't it? The concept on that. There's a chapter called Warming Up with Martin.
I mean, I just don't understand. That sounds like it should be on a hard drive with 4 series of Remington Steel.
Yeah, enough about that. I have more burning chat for you, Matthew.
What else is burning you up this week, boyo?
What has been bothering me? Right. So, in the light of like pubs reopening, because that's going to be happening soon. What a halcyon day that will be! It's meant to be in 12 days' time. They'll be opening pub gardens.
What, in the UK?
In the UK, yeah.
When was this announced?
Recently. But the 22nd of June is the date that's in everyone's calendar as the day that pub gardens reopen and the new normal begins. And we're looking at other countries on what they're doing.
I'm quite happy about this.
Yeah, same.
I didn't know anything about it. This is the first I've heard. This is actual live breaking news.
The expression on your face is heartwarming.
And straight off the back of Ray Parlour doing keepy uppies with a litre bottle of Cobra too.
Also known as Warming Up with Martin.
Yeah.
But we're looking at other nations on what they're doing to do this. And what Belgium are doing is something called Helpy Hour. Now, Have you heard of Helpy Hour yet, Matthew?
So I hadn't. When you mentioned it, I looked it up. So it's a moderated happy hour, which is 2 for 1.
It's not a moderated.
2 pints and get 1, right?
Yeah, it's an inverse of happy hour.
Yeah.
Instead of 2 for 1 deals, it's buy 1 pay for 2.
Right.
I don't know how I feel about that. Because in London
here, I'm up for it because, like, if I go down Notley's and pay for 2 pints of Moretti and get 1, it will cost me £3 for a pint of Moretti. But
in London, where I am, it's like £6 a pint. Maybe £12.
I don't know. It's
that's Dubai prices.
Yeah, and you're not even oil rich.
No. I'm not Christina Milian in Dip It Low.
You're not writhing about in oil like Christina Milian was in 2004.
No, I wish.
But I don't know. I mean, the thing is, I do fundamentally agree with it. Like,
yeah,
if it helps keep my local open, I'm like, yeah. But then part of me is like, this is just another example of. I mean, I don't know if this was a government initiative or what, but it's kind of like you're just again asking the public to bail out a bunch of struggling businesses because the state doesn't fucking want to. Like you already, beer tax is already quite high. So why don't you just instead of asking the public to pay double, why don't you like half beer tax for 6 weeks, and then all the
Exactly.
pubs
And,
can operate at a lower running cost.
yeah, and I mean, and this is a Belgium initiative, so it's
And they
a
love
pint in Belgium. A pint in Belgium is bloody expensive. It's kind of.
Never been.
I'm guessing that they have similar tax issues.
Yeah,
I don't
mean,
know.
Again, I mean, those generally speaking, Europe seems to be a little bit more kind of socialist in its policies and attitudes. But like, yeah, I mean, I went to Amsterdam with a group of people that don't smoke recently, and I mean, it nearly ruined both my liver and my bank accounts. Like, it was so to pay double in Amsterdam would be. Well, it just wouldn't happen. It would probably affect tourism. But is it just for an hour a day, though? Is the idea that it's for an hour a day or for like...
I feel like it's during what would normally be happy hour periods. So it would be like after work sort of thing. Which a happy hour can last an hour. It can last 5, you know.
I think I'd probably... In all honesty, I don't have enough money to go and do much drinking at double the price. But I think like maybe if you start at the end of Helpy hour, do you know, and do like one or 2 rounds or a round each at the inflated price and then back to normal. But again, part of me does just feel like it's again just putting the onus on society to bail out all these struggling businesses, whilst the government just kind of don't.
Yeah, this is what I mean. I'm not too against it. I'm just a bit against it. I think if you're getting rat-assed on a night out, it will be impossible, and it will be counterproductive for the businesses because there's so many people that go to pubs that just want to get rat-assed and they won't be able to afford to. So you'll lose all of them. Yeah,
exactly that. It would, and also there could be the issue. Well, issue. It could almost gentrify pubs if it becomes a permanent fixture. Because it would just be like, you know, London banker types that come out of Merrill Lynch in St Paul's and go around the corner to the pub and drop 14 quid on a pint just to prove they can. And they'll be they are kind of the only people that drink in St Paul's pubs anyway. But it's not going to help an already rapidly gentrifying city to double drink prices in every boozer. But like I said, I mean, I don't really know how Belgium has handled the whole coronavirus thing generally. But if that was implemented, if the government were kind of promoting that, if a pub wants to promote it in this country, I'm fine with it. But if the government were pushing that as an initiative, I'd be really pissed off because of the lack of support for so many people at the moment. You know, like there's still about, you know, so many people I know who are limited companies and stuff for work reasons, not for tax reasons, like cameramen. Creative agencies, a lot of the time, as a cameraman or an animator, they won't take you on unless you're a limited company because it ensures a level of protection for them if you fuck a job up or whatever. But that means that those people, they've only formed a limited company so that they can get work via an agency, but they've now got no support from the government because they're a limited company. So if the government's then going to turn around and be like, oh yeah, you need to pay double for a pint to support the failing pub industry, I'd be like, well, that's your lookout. Like, you can cut some taxes and whatnot, or give them, you know. So I don't know. In Belgium's case, I don't know how the government have responded to the crisis. But I'd be a bit pissed off in this country if the UK government started telling us we need to spend double in pubs to help them through a tough time when they've done nothing to help pubs in a tough time.
And I guess in Spain, where we do know a bit more, but mainly on sort of the effects on the public as opposed to the effects on business, not all pubs and bars, but quite a few have started introducing a COVID charge, a COVID fee, which is just like a fee, be it a percentage fee that's added on top, kind of like a service charge, I guess, to support them through this time, which I'm a bit more in line with. If it's like, okay, I have to pay an extra 10% on this, and you know, there's no way around it. You have to have table service. And
I mean,
you
again,
can still get
it's
rat-assed because you're only paying like a 10, 15, maximum 20% type thing.
I mean, interestingly, I actually got into a bit of an online ruck with someone on Facebook about record labels because they were They posted on a group I'm a member of, a shitty dubstep. Shout out the shitty dubstep crew. Someone posted complaining about the cost. I think it was the price of System Vivek's label. It was the price of their records. They now do a 2-tracker is like 12 quid. And they were like, oh my God, it takes the piss. Like, what the fuck? Charging 12 quid for 2 tunes is 6 quid a tune. And I was like, as you and I as label owners, I was like, but based on the cost of making a record, that's not actually that much. Like, the profit margins still aren't great on that if you're only doing sort of 300 to 500 units. And he was like, oh, well, why should I shoulder the cost of all the stuff? And it's like, but that's kind of what the consumer does. Like, and no one, when I was at, I mentioned I was at uni earlier on the chat. When I was at university, I could buy a 4-pack of Carlsberg Export for 2 quid. And it was 50p for a vodka Red Bull in the clubs. And pints were like £2. And all these people that are like, oh, records are too expensive now, the postage is too much internationally. They don't moan when their pint goes up to 6 quid in London. They just pay it and go to the rave. And it's like, why is it acceptable for pints can put up their costs indefinitely and you just absorb them? But other things, you won't absorb the cost. And I think it's fair enough. If it costs you that much to run a pub, that's just what it is, unfortunately. And I'm sure in a lot of instances, pubs don't want to be more expensive than they have to because they're all losing business as it is. So putting their prices up isn't going to help that. So it's not really on them. So if they have to put a service charge on it because of the extra, table service or whatever, the extra or the distancing. And same with cinemas. Like, cinemas are talking about, having a gap, seats either side of your seat in all 4 directions. So one seat would essentially take up 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One purchase would take up 9 seats. And it's like, it's not realistic to charge for 9 tickets, but you do have to accept that you can't get as many people in the cinema and you still need to pay the bills to run the cinema. So prices are going to have to go up to accommodate, which is unfortunate, but unless governments step in to subsidise, there's no other way around that, I can't see.
No, I completely agree.
So
it's a tough one.
But, I mean, to be honest, I've done so much drinking in the fucking house since this started. Like, I'd happily spend double just to get out for an hour and not sit and be pissed in front of the telly. And where I live in Lowestoft in Suffolk, there's no glass collection. So I have to walk all the bottles to the bottle bank every fucking fortnight, which is long. So yeah, I'd to go out for 2 pints, I'd pay double to just enjoy sitting in a pub and listening to the conversations of random people and getting drinks out of a tap and not having to walk the empties down to Asda bottle bank.
You make a good point. And the pub nearest me, though it doesn't have a good garden, basically the garden is a car park. I wouldn't mind paying the extra just to be back in a pub for a bit.
And actually, that brings us on to our final topic of the day.
Go on.
The 5 Bells in New Cross Gate.
Blimey.
How much? I would pay 3 times as much to be sat back under the victim support sign in the 5 Bells with your fine self.
The issue with the 5 Bells is that it's had a refit, as you may know. So the victim support sign is gone.
I mean, have they refitted the toilets?
Sorry to break it to you. They fitted new toilets, which is a welcome change.
I mean, yeah, credit where it's due. That's normally where refits sort of skimp. They just don't leave the toilets alone. And
I mean, if you remember the old toilets, it was like a day down the Millwall. Probably worse.
Yeah, the old toilets in the 5 Bells look like a set from the Warriors.
It was like what's it called?
It was a bit like when where Snake Plissken goes in the cinema in Escape from New York, and there's that homeless guy with the president's watch on. It's a bit like that.
Yes,
it's a bit
I was-
like something
I
off
was-
Escape from New York or The Warriors. It's like a John
I was the
Carpenter
guy with the
set.
watch. Yeah.
But I like
Yeah,
the old.
but,
and I like
but no,
the old
it's
one, the old
gone-
5 bells. I loved when you walked in on the left-hand side as you come through the door. It was a bit like a really sort of shit version of the Crystal Maze. There was like the fruit machine and games area. Then there was the stage where the TV was above it. But so it was like a really sort of cheap Crystal Maze where you're like, do we sit in the fruit machine and games area? Do we go to that weird rotating thing with the nuts in? Do we go to the victim support sign with the empty fish tank? Or do we go and sit on the stage under the telly where everyone watches football and throws empties at you for being in the way of the football?
So they still have the football. The stage is semi no more. There's like a stage in appearance, but no one performs on it.
That's a shame.
It's
They
like
still
there's
do JD Sports shoots
basically there's a
in there
there's a
around the pool
step.
table. Do you remember that day? That was
I
the
do
day.
remember
In
that
fact,
day.
that was the day after Ill Conceived came out. That was when we had the pub debrief.
It was. It was a big day when we decided that we'd had our fun and wanted a pint.
I was so exhausted. I was so broken that day. Like, it was a big night anyway. But just the run up to the release of that album, I was so finished. I just had no function. And yeah, there was just those kids in there in tracksuits getting shot for JD Sports on a pool table. And one of them was a barman, wasn't he? And he had the big mushroom mullet.
Yeah, tell me, we had
he looked like he looked like Cedric Bixler Zavala from Mars Volta. Actually, he was like a sort of a New Cross Gate version of Cedric from Mars Volta.
Yeah, he was a bit. In fact, you know who he looked like? He looked like the lead singer of The View.
Yeah, he did.
Do you remember The View?
Unfortunately, yes. The ones who had the same jeans on for 4 days now.
That's the gang, yeah. He looks exactly like the lead singer of The View. Maybe it might have been him.
I mean, to be working in a pub in New Cross Gate, although he's a Scottish kid, wasn't he? The kid in the pub was.
Yeah, but you know.
He also looked like.
You want to stick around
like. Do you remember the intro to Match of the Day from the 90s? There was a goalkeeper who did a save where he basically jumped in the air, dropped down to do a press up, curled his feet and flicked the ball back over as he dropped. It was like one of the most ridiculous saves of all time.
Are you talking about the Colombia goalkeeper, Valderrama something?
Yeah, that's him. He looked a bit like a sort of a white New Cross Gate version of him. And he was wearing a lot of nylon when we saw him.
He had a bit of that. That's true. Yeah, he did have a bit of a Columbia training kit going on.
But yeah, so if we're gonna save a pub, saving the 5 bells, I'd be up for. But yeah, the new one, I met you in there just before lockdown, and the refit was nice. But I like that they hadn't changed the staff or anything. It was still the 5 Bells squad. They're just kind of
because it's owned by a kind of a branch now, like a chain. Sorry.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, but it's like a really small chain.
So
it's like
is that
you
icon?
can't.
Is that icon that sold us half a roast dinner for £1 less than a full one? Is he gone?
So I thought he was, and then one day he was just there behind the bar. I was like, oh, okay, you're still here, Tony. Great.
But is it like when? Is it a bit like when when aristocrats sell the family pile because they've spent all the money on opium and they're bankrupt, and they let the hands stay on at the house just because honour for.
Is this the plot of Gone with the Wind again?
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, we might be back. We might be back there. But do you think he was just allowed to stay on because he had fuck all else to do, and they probably ripped him off on the cost of the pub? I
don't know, because I don't. It was never going to be successful. The way it looked, the prices that they were charging, the size of the company, the location.
Yeah. I mean, I loved it, but it was kind of a lot. It was a shit student pub, but it was just standard London prices. It didn't have any of the benefits of a shit student pub, but it looked and behaved like one.
It was marginally cheaper than the wanky pub across the street, the White Hart.
Yeah, fuck that place though. I hate the White Hart. That's a shithole.
Yeah, yeah.
And all their all the ales they brew on site is shite as well. But no, I think the only beef I really have with the Five Bells is when we went for that roast, and he went, "Well, we've stopped doing them now, and we've run out of everything. But I can do you a discount roast dinner because it's like really late." And we went, "Oh yeah, that'll do. Just whatever you've got." And they basically microwaved a bit of meat and gravy, and then charged us £1 less than they normally would, and it just came with nothing.
Yeah.
And then that guy Quinn tried to nick our potatoes.
Yeah, the fucking skaghead looking Jamie T looking fuckwit tried to steal one of my potatoes. I was like, "You will just glass me if I don't." All right.
I mean, he did. To be honest, he did look fucking starving. But frankly, unless you got Bob Hoskins lip syncing in your music videos, you're not getting my potatoes.
Would that have happened in the Five Bells? I feel like yes.
Yeah, that's true. If there's any way you are going to find Bob Hoskins just lip syncing for people pissed, it's the Bells. Who knew Jamie T did an album like a year ago?
Me.
Well, I mean,
he did one like
I did too. That's why I brought it up. But you know what? There
was. So he's on 2 albums recently. Sorry. Yeah. So I feel like he's had 2 albums. One of them was like his big comeback, and that had like a big pop track on it where it was like there was like a weird skeleton in a school in the music video. It was a bit more edgier, a little less cheeky indie kid, like a little less like the Arctic Monkeys' first album.
Well, I thought his second album, Kings and Queens, was far better than the one that got all the attention and was like cheeky indie geezer. Like he actually got into he sort of got into folk singer-songwriter territory, and it kind of suited him. But after that, I don't think I've heard any of it.
You know, he disappeared for about 6 years and then came back with that new album, and then I think there's been another one since then which did really badly.
I mean, he's in that kind of vacuum, kind of like the Klaxons and all those people, where they were cleaning up when I was at uni, and then the bottom fell out of that whole style almost overnight. You know, Editors, all of those bands, White Lies, they all just now make stuff that sounds 10, 15 years out of date, and no one's interested, it seems. And I guess they just survive on touring and nostalgia almost.
I think rock music has taken a really harsh hit in the new streaming world, more so than pretty much any other genre, maybe classical. But it's like
it is though. Why do you not think it streams? Is it just because older generations haven't picked up? Because surely by that rationale, they still sell records because their fans buy the T-shirt and vinyl type.
They do still sell records. The issue that they have is that other genres take up a much larger part of the market space. And then on top of that, an artist's revenue is predominantly from live, and where you're just like one rapper with a DJ maybe, or you're a DJ and you know you got no one else, or like 2 DJs say. But when you're a band of like 5, you have to split the money between all 5 of you.
Yeah, you've got 5 people plus 10 roadies plus an extra truck for the kit. And
exactly.
And festivals as well.
Like,
festivals.
You know,
if you've got limited budget at a festival, you can get a DJ for $1,000 that will sell X amount of tickets, and a band that sells the same amount of tickets costs $10,000. So you just book the DJ because it's less faff.
And your DJ will turn up in a Ford Fiesta, and it'll be fun.
Yeah.
4-door real.
His mate will crash a car trying to drink drive him off the site at 2 a.m. Security will cover it up. Job's a good one.
Exactly. And it's like, it feels like some bands have made it through, but not many.
Yeah, there seems to be very few who are still, I mean, aside from the ones that are obviously like at the chart level massive and can actually kind of just turn up when they want with the tune, it seems very few have actually sort of, because you get people like, I mean, like the Kaiser Chiefs, who I fucking hate. I really think they're the pinnacle of crap indie landfill. But like I saw their last album. It's an interesting. I sort of admire that they try and do this shit, but it is, in its own way, I think it's just an admission that no one cares about their tunes. Their last, I think it might have been their last album, was probably about 2016. But what you did was you picked that they put up like 25 tracks, and you picked the 10 you wanted, and they got put on the album that you got. So it was like a customizable album.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that's one, you can do that with a playlist on Spotify. You don't need to give the Kaiser Chiefs a tenner or whatever. And two, that's just a gimmick because you've got 25 tracks that you maybe don't know which ones the fans want or have any faith in. So put the onus on them to pick them. And yeah, I again, it's like it seems a lot of them are relying on strange gimmicks or just doing other shit to sell anything. And I think even when anyway. I know you're more of a fan than I am, but I think it's fucking toilet, most of it.
Even when you are like a bigger band, like on the cusp of, being a priority for a major label. Like I read something by there's a band called The Blossoms at the moment who
I know. We've filmed them.
Yeah.
Actually.
There you go. And it's like they're a big band. Like, they're signed to a major, they do well in comparison to the industry, I guess. But it's like they will never touch the singles chart, like ever. Their album will have a good first week and then it will just fall off the map. And there's just not enough space in the streaming world to sort of get heard for a band anymore. Not just indie, I'm talking like, the heavier sort of rock stuff. I mean, they have their own audience that's a bit more niche and they get it a bit more. But I don't know, I just think bands are struggling. Yeah,
well, I guess it's that when the value of music is constantly being debased and just destroyed, the first thing to go is going to be bands, particularly like imagine this. Like I'm as you know, I like a bit of the old prog rock. I like Yes in particular, and I was looking at some of their like arena tours and stuff, and they were like, Yes, we're topping the charts in the late 70s. And it's like they're like a 9-piece band with X amount of additional musicians, and the set's a fucking UFO that turns into a mountain at halftime. And it's like just imagine the only person with a budget like that now is like Travis Scott, who's a single guy working with a producer, and he's got a DJ, and everything else is kind of pure profit. And it's like getting 0.00002 of a penny per stream. Things like Yes could never exist. And even if you don't like them, like prog and all that mad stuff, that was such a strange time in pop music. And obviously it led, and it's kind of like it's a shame that stuff might never really get through again unless something changes with how streaming pays.
And it kind of feels like it won't. I feel like the value of music has gone down so much that it just won't change.
No, I without as much as we run a fucking physical record label, like I think it's a bit like the price of oil. Like the price of oil now that it's gone up won't come down past a certain amount. Like it's down at the moment to like 98p a litre or something, which is the lowest it's been for maybe 10 years. But it's never going to go back down to being 50p a litre, even if it can.
We're selling it a lot.
It's once the value is either up or down, it won't. The market won't let it shift back the other way, essentially. Well, that's a bleak note to end on. Shall we?
We should end with something a bit uplifting. Have you got anything in mind?
Let's find a band. Seeing as we're saying they ain't getting enough shine, let's find an actual.
We should. Which bands are you most into? Is there a Yes song that you really want to hear?
Do you know what? Shall we go for the? It's probably the least indicative of Yes as a group, but their 80s number one, Owner of a Lonely Heart, also featured on the GTA Vice City soundtrack, is just an end-to-end crowd pleaser. That was when they got on Trevor Rabin and Rabin and Horn, with the Buggles. They got them on board as part of the band and basically started making 80s pop bangers for a little bit. But Yeah, let's go
Well,
for Yes, Owner of a Lonely Heart. Because it's
That's what we'll close out with today.
on it.
Nice one. It's been great burning chat again.
It's been you might want to do that again because your webcam flattens out just as you said all that.
Sorry, it's been great burning chat again, Matthew.
It's been lovely, mate. Yeah, it's been really good. I'm loving this format. Long may it continue. And I think my favourite thing about this format is we don't actually have to do much editing.
That's true, but I am worried on my internet this week. But oh well.
Don't worry, I guarantee we'll have this out before the end of the coronavirus. Right, big tune. Big up, mate. Love you.
Lonely Heart.
I'm off to fetch one final gin.